Sarracenias, 1st of May 2018, spring video. Well, it's been a long winter. Spring has finally sprung, albeit a late one. You were looking at a Timothy King flower, and behind it the first of the flava flowers. It's been a very long winter. We had a big amount of snow here, a large amount of snow here, around about the 1st of March, and April wasn't a very sunny month at all. However, everything is in full growth. And as I walk down, you will see, and as I scan across, many, many flava flowers open. And as I move down the front bench in front of me, you can see how beautiful the Berkii flowers, and this particular one, which I put on my Facebook page the other day, is looking tremendous. It's PV41. Moving across, just behind the Drosophilum, is the Leucophylla plants. They had a really good feed of insects last year, and the results of that is showing. The pictures are larger this year, as you can see on this emerging one, and the plants are looking very healthy. This is Melissa Mazur, next to it is a very well fed PV8A. Going back around there, I must get an extra zoom on this Berkii flower close up. I love it. This is my favourite one. This has got the most vibrant pink. Has a lot of them, and you can compare to a regular Berkii. Moving swiftly on, this is H136 flowers. The flower stems here are about 80 centimetres tall, and the pots they're sitting in are 20 by 20 by 20 centimetre square pots. And as I walk down the show plants, you will see that virtually everything now is in the peat-free mix. After many trials of starting with 3 plants in 2014, or 2013 even, then on to 300 plants the following year, every plant now that's being repotted is in peat-free. This is one that's growing in peat still. You can see you get a build-up of moss, and this one has been in peat-free 2 or 3 years. There's no moss to speak of, and the plants really don't have any trouble to break through. This year, because my collection's increased dramatically, I've acquired about 60, 70 new plants from other growers this winter. I've had to move my rubra and Orophylla collection to the front bench at the expense of the where I normally put the cuttings. However, now I've got everything rearranged. I think if I remove the last of the cuttings, I will have approximately space for about 600 more plants before I need to think about extending this greenhouse. Now, moving on to the Orophyllus, again all in peat-free now, and the fresh growth is tremendous. It's all standing up straight, nice. I love this time of year for that, and the plants are liking the new situation. It appears to me in this front bench location for the plants, on the closer to the floor, they grow taller. Now, this is A28 in full bloom. Absolute plethora of flowers this year, and the pictures are closely coming on behind. These plants have been stood in the same peat-free mix for about 2-3 years, I estimate. Moving down the collection, you can see some paler forms. A little later, you'll find some of the more white flower forms popping open. And that would be some plants like A9, but they're not quite there yet, ready for opening. Starting now on the Leucophylla end from L1, you can see there are many, many flowers here. Obviously, with just a foam camera, it's hard to zoom in on individuals, but you can see everything is growth. Even the late ones like L57 here beginning to shoot up. This is L65, this is quite a large picturing form. And the first one's up always for me is Helmut's Delight. There's one more just behind. And here I think this would be the first flower that's really opened at the moment on L74, the Chipola River plant. So moving on to the Hurricane Creek plants, they're just beginning to get going. This is Dion. And then coming back to the flavas, you can see they're really quite advanced. This is coming on to F217. This is one of the large, well, 218 actually, large Cupriaforms, rivals almost the F153 plant, which is from Phil Sheridan. There's instant response. This is in a 20 by 20 square pot, and usually you can tell from the thickness of the base of the plant how tall the pitch will be, and I suspect this plant's going to be very tall when it gets going. First are the red tubes. Scan across, and we come to F143, another early of the Regielii. This is probably a few days away from popping open. Now we're on the Sarracenias Sarracenias bench. Many are coming into flower. You can see the peat-free mix, but also I'm doing some trials with just growing them in pure Lysagnum moss in pots, because of the results of the plants growing in water with just in sphagnum moss. The results are excellent. These plants are around about 8 inches across, something like that, and even some of them maintain really quite good deep colour. The water is standing about 2 inches deep, and one cannot get rid of some of the sundew weeds even in this situation. Towards the back of this table I'm keeping the typical minors at the front and the Leucophylla plants at the back. Which leads me on to this particular plant here. So I move the Sarracenia minor picture out of the way. This PS28 was a Gulf Coast China. It really is enormous. It's 8 inches across at least, maybe 9 inches, and the hoods are quite large. As for the rest of the minors, obviously it's not a nice place for everything. They're at the end of the first branch, and now if I scan across, you'll see there are many, many more hybrids right to the end of the greenhouse, probably a good 50 odd feet of bench just dedicated to Sarracenia hybrids. And they all start from H1, God's gift, Diane Whitaker, in number order now, so you can easily spot them when you come to visit. I'll pick up some of the early flowering ones. This is H42, this is a sister plant of Brooks hybrid, red pitcher one. Then we come to a wild plant. I grew this one from seed. This is a Catesby from Sumatra, so obviously the flower is very much like a Berkei in this individual. The H71F2 Morii plants are all growing very well in the peat-free mix. These are not particularly the largest plants, but they always put on a good show. Peaches are all divided and potted and responding well to the new peat-free mix. Some of the primary pitches, the first ones, are growing much taller than they ever have done. And this one's in flower. I have tried experiments where you're removing some of the flower stems when they're early in growth to see if it makes a difference on the size. It's too early to tell, but there's always a bit of debate on what happens. This is green frog. This is a very, very distant introgressed Regielii plant with white dappling on the top of the lid. It's too early to show it because the colour develops later, but you can just see a few white patches, and maybe you can see it on the film. H326, the one that caused quite a stir, that develops a white top and a red throat. And the first open picture on Innominata. Behind it, this beauty. We call it Dutch thick lip from PJ Plants. That's doing very well. Now we're coming on to the newer part of the collection. A lot of unnumbered individuals. Done a lot of swaps and collecting, and also sorting out of seedlings from the other greenhouse. But it has been a hard work this particular winter, because it's probably potted around about 4,700 odd plants. So panning across, it is early days. It has been a late spring, and I've been really trying to decide when to make the next film, so maybe in a week or two I'll make the next one early so you can see the development of the pictures. But really, we've all been a bit impatient, especially in Northern Europe, for the spring to finally arrive. But hopefully, as the open day is only about a month away, then we can all enjoy all our plants into its full glory. Thank you for watching.